D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful Friday. Just a beautiful day in our fair city. It's hard to believe that 2 weeks ago we were coated in ice.
Yes.
And now look at it outside. It's just
like
gorgeous.
50-some degrees, almost 50 degrees.
Pushing 60.
It's almost 60.
Wow.
Love it.
Gosh, this temperature, this state when it comes to temperature, this city when it comes to temperature.
It makes
and weather.
Little to no sense. But
whatsoever.
It is what it is. Derek Mason.
Yes.
Are you ready for Mason your face?
Yes.
60 seconds, go.
And it's very simple. I started to reminisce because my daughter was here for a couple of days and I just dropped her off at the airport. So I started to reminisce. And I talked about walking to Hampton, which was not the Hamptons. People now, when I was little, hell no, I didn't go to the Hamptons. Couldn't afford to. I'm talking about Hampton, meaning there was this building with a pool in it, the pool building, whatever you want to call it, recreational place. And every time we would walk in the summer, we would walk to Hampton. There was this tree. And it had apples on it. And you know what we would do as kids? We would run by it every day when we go there and we would grab some apples. And the lady let us. The lady let us grab apples. And we had us a nice snack going and a nice snack coming back. Where are the apple trees? Where are the pear trees? Where are the trees that give us fruit? So someone like little Derek can be walking to the pool in East Nashville and say, hey, I'm hungry. There's a fruit tree. Bam, get it and go. Where are the fruit trees, people? I want them back. I want fruit trees back. Start planting them in your neighborhood now.
What kind of fruit you like?
Apples. I mean, what? I don't know.
What can we grow here?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
how conducive?
When I grew up in
growing
Florida,
fruit.
people had orange trees all
Exactly.
throughout.
And you can pick them. Bam.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can also, when they're little and green, have some pretty good fights in the neighborhood. Just throwing those things at each other.
They'll hurt.
Boy, they'll put a knot on your leg.
So what? I'm just asking. Where are the fruit trees, people? Where are they? I want to be able to walk through a neighborhood and I see a fruit tree, and I pull down a fruit and I eat it. There you go. Because I love fruit. I got my fruit cut up in front of me. Adam has an apple. Willie, where's yours?
I got nothing.
He has nothing. But where are the fruit trees, people? That's what I want to know. Where are the fruit trees?
Where are the damn fruit trees?
I just want some fruit sometime.
Somebody answer Derek Mason. Where are the fruit trees? Let us know. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. A lot to discuss today. There's sort of a big game this weekend, perhaps the big game, Super Bowl 60, Patriots versus Seahawks. We will discuss that, of course. We will discuss the Mike Vrabel Love Fest, which is getting a little nauseating, to say the least. Also, I should mention that Mike Vrabel won Coach of the Year last night at the NFL Honors.
To him.
And we will, in a minute, play a funny clip from the NFL Honors show. Predators lose their final game before the NHL's Olympic break last night in Washington. A new report from our friend Elliot Friedman, which I find to be very interesting. Chad Withrow from Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow will join us at 4:20. He is in San Francisco, so we will catch up with Chad about what he's hearing and seeing in advance of Super Bowl 60. But let's start with the NFL Honors last night. Matthew Stafford wins MVP in the closest race in more than 20 years. He finished with 366 points, 24 first-place votes. Drake May right behind him, 361 points, 23 first-place votes. And guys, there was some controversy last night. Drake May missed out on being MVP of the league because Justin Herbert, who wasn't even a finalist for MVP, received one first-place vote. Had Drake May received that first-place vote, he would have been NFL MVP. And Willie, we have this conversation a lot. It's the definition of the MVP award. Should it go to the best player or the player who is deemed most valuable to his team?
I guess I don't have any problem with who won. The oddity of the vote, I think it's documented from time to time. in all the sports. We've certainly watched closely for the NHL awards that we're involved in, but it is baffling how somebody could vote Justin Herbert number one. I can see Justin Herbert on your ballot somewhere, but number one, he's the MVP of the league in somebody's opinion? Really?
And that person who voted Justin Herbert number one revealed himself.
Yes.
Sam Monson, formerly of Pro Football Focus, admitted, I was the Justin Herbert vote. And he said, quote, the guy had the worst offensive line in the NFL all season. And despite that, he was working miracles in almost every single game. Stafford's offensive line became 2/5 as bad as Herbert's for 5 minutes, and he became a turnover howitzer. He embodied value. MVP is the single hardest award to correctly determine because the focus is on value, which is basically impossible to objectively evaluate with so many dependencies. But the idea that one vote altered a guy's legacy is stupid.
I agree with that. At least he came out and made his case. I disagree with him. I don't see how Herbert was the MVP of the league, but he gave his take. This is what it's up to the people.
Yeah, you vote, and it's not like they know what each other is voting on. So it's not like they got in the room and they, concluded this is what we're gonna do, and they know everybody's vote. So yes, I'm gonna cast that last vote, and I'm gonna cast it with Justin Herbert just to throw everything off. He has some validity to why he voted that way, but he wasn't even a finalist. I could see if he voted for Josh Allen. I think people would really understand, but when you're not even a finalist, I think that's where sort of the what are you doing sort of comes into play. But again, I don't think there's anything nefarious going on. I think he looked at all of the finalists, and he thought, man, had Justin Herbert had the line some of these other guys had, maybe that team, he would have looked a lot different than what he did this season, and chose to vote for him based on that. I have no problem with Stafford winning. I think it's well deserved. I think finally he's won an MVP because he's had MVP seasons, but just never won it. And finally he gets an opportunity to win the MVP. So hats off to him.
The top 5 in NFL MVP voting: Matthew Stafford, Drake May, Josh Allen, who received 2 first-place votes, Christian McCaffrey, and Trevor Lawrence. So Matthew Stafford, the first player to win MVP for a team outside the top 2 seeds since Adrian Peterson in 2012.
That's pretty remarkable. In the preseason, there was heavy talk that Stafford would miss maybe the whole season, but was a time bomb with his back.
Yes.
Right? He didn't even play. And they were saying, boy, you got to have Jimmy Garoppolo ready on your fantasy team. Guy's the MVP of the league.
Yeah.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame 2026 class was announced last night as well. 5 players: Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Adam Vinatieri, Luke Kuechly, and Roger Craig. The 5 inductees into the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame class. Derek, your thoughts?
I think all these guys are deserving. How long Adam Vinatieri, when did he retire?
This was his second year of eligibility.
Okay. See that he's deserving, but I think there are other guys that are more deserving that have been waiting a longer period of time.
He last played in 2019.
Exactly. So that, to me, if you're talking about being outraged, you should be outraged at something like this. It's not like, I know people are outraged because Bill didn't make it. He's going to get in. And there's now some grumblings. Oh, Tom may not make it. Well, if he doesn't, he'll still get in the next year. But Adam Vinatieri, to me, does he deserve to be in it? Yes. But I think there are other guys that have been waiting that retired when he did or before he did that I think should be in before him. Again, I think he's a Hall of Famer. And it's rare when it comes to a specialist, especially a kicker. I think Ray Guy's the only other kicker in the Hall of Fame, and maybe one other, but I think Ray Guy may be the only one. But I just think other guys were more deserving at this moment to be even some of those older guys that have been waiting around for for decades, 2, 3, 1, 2 decades to try to get in, some even longer than that. So I mean, when you win Super Bowls, and people are speaking for you, I think that means a lot. But there are a lot of other guys that meant a lot more to the league than Adam Vinatieri. He meant more to his team, but did he mean more to the league? Can you write a story about the league without Adam Vinatieri? I think you can. But I do believe he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame eventually, yes, but he got in. So, and Roger Craig is another. He's another guy that's long overdue, but,
I mean,
he was one of the first dual threat running backs.
First player in NFL history to have at least 1,000 yards rushing and at least 1,000 yards receiving, in the same season.
That was what, 85?
1985.
Yeah.
And that's his claim to fame, for sure. And he played on some great teams. It always helps that happened. But, it's so subjective. It's so hard because I don't envy the people that make these decisions, because you're trying to compare Luke Kuechly to Adam Vinatieri to Roger Craig. That is a very difficult thing. And that doesn't even get into the whole Roger Craig was on the group of 5 that Belichick was left off and Kraft was left off. So Roger Craig benefited from that, right? He must have gotten the votes. And I don't think he's a clear-cut Hall of Fame guy. He was a great player, but it just depends on where you want to draw that line. So I think when you let – and Luke Kuechly is another one. I never thought of him as I was watching him play. This is one of the greatest players of all time. Good player.
Yes.
Really good player. That I ever sit there and go, this is one of the greatest at his position of all time. I don't think I did that. Maybe I was underappreciating him.
Well, with Larry Fitzgerald, I'm wondering, Derek, as the wide receiver in the room, if it's possible that we underappreciated Larry Fitzgerald because he spent his entire career with the Arizona Cardinals. His numbers are outstanding. He absolutely deserves to be a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But even then, I'm wondering, did we truly appreciate Larry Fitzgerald when he was playing because he played for a franchise that doesn't get a lot of attention?
And I don't think he was flashy. I think he was a guy that went out there and did his job and did it very effectively. He, at a point, it was maybe a 10-year stretch, 15-year stretch where he was a top, at least a 10-year stretch where he was a top 5 receiver, if not the best receiver in the National Football League. And it started early on in his career. So, but again, I am not going to, when it comes to Larry Fitzgerald, I think he's second in total receiving yards to Jerry Rice, or third. He may be second. And he's the top 2 or 3 in catches, touchdowns.
Played forever.
Yeah, and he just played. He was a model of consistency.
Second in receiving yards and receptions, 6th in touchdowns.
So, yeah, he deserves. But again, it's like there are some other guys that Henry Ellert, for example.
You like to bring up Henry Ellert.
Yes, because I think Henry Ellert was like 14,000 yards somewhere around
tell
there.
people who Henry
Ellert played once. I mean, Henry Ellert played for it was then the LA Rams.
Right.
That's why I remember Henry Ellert at. And I think he did play when they moved to St. Louis. He played for the Washington back then Redskins, because I ended up playing against him. And that was late in his career.
I don't think he ever played for the St. Louis Rams. He only played for the LA Rams. Then went to the then Redskins.
Exactly. So this guy, I mean, what did he average? Like 16 yards per catch. He had
almost 17.
14,000 yards, somewhere around there.
13,777. Almost 14.
This guy, he was just, when you talk about a big play, he was a big play waiting. He was, we talked about the Cheetah and Steve. He was those guys before they were.
But he was underappreciated.
Exactly.
At the time, I think.
Very underappreciated.
And he wasn't on a Super Bowl kind of team.
Exactly.
He was on some good teams, but
even
not
Jimmy Smith, another guy that was a dominant receiver in his day.
But
But
Larry
he doesn't have the
Fitzgerald,
number. I'm not arguing about whether Larry should be in it, because
one
Larry
was
should
pretty
be
easy.
in.
He's
yeah.
in, yeah.
But I'm just
But
thinking
guys
like other
like
guys.
Ellard, but I think this would be interesting because they
Mhm.
have to do this. Henry Ellard's impact versus Roger Craig. Like Henry Ellard played longer, so he compiled numbers for a longer period of time pretty consistently. Roger Craig was a little more like a lot of running backs these days, where it was like a really good 6 to 8 years and then kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
But a very unique rushing and receiving threat, which I think was probably his lane to get in there. Plus, he played on some great teams, right? Those great 49er teams that had to,
of course,
work huge in his favor.
Absolutely. And I think that is what helps Adam Vinatieri get in. He played on those Super Bowl.
He had
winning,
the opportunity to make all these great kicks, and he made it.
Absolutely. So, but to again, and we can name off a lot of other guys. Torrey Holt still not in, and he was a part of a Super Bowl. And at one period, Torrey Holt was, I think, the only receiver to have like 13 or 1,400 yards for like 6 consecutive years, somewhere around there. And he did it at a high level, even though he had Bruce next to him, Isaac Bruce. He still went out and dominated, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. It's like, and he won a Super Bowl, and he went to another. So again, it's like, what is going on here? And I ain't even talk about the Bill Belichick. It's just like, what's going on here?
I think the question for every Hall of Fame is, how many people do you want in? And because a football team just has so many more people on the team than a basketball team or even a baseball or a hockey team, especially as a basketball team, you just got more people to consider, right? You've got more and more people coming through the league decade after decade. And so there's just more great players. So in theory, there should be more players going into the Hall of Fame. So I just think there's just a huge pool, and you're one of them, Derek, that's worthy of being in there, but they just haven't gotten, like, the system doesn't allow them to get to that role. But like with every passing year, it's not going to get any easier because there's just more players coming into the pool.
Outside at the time, because I know the numbers will change. At the time, I think he was only second to Jerry Rice with the most 1,300 yard consecutive seasons. He had 6 of them. 1,300 yards, 6 consecutive seasons in a row from 2000 to 2005.
This is Torrey Holt?
Torrey Holt, yeah.
Wow.
And
that's impressive.
In that span, he had 2 double-digit touchdowns. He had a year with 9 touchdowns. And then, his first 3 or 4 years of his career, he was like 6 and 7. But that's another guy, averaged over 14 yards a catch. That's another guy that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Let's go to Adam in Portland on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Adam, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Adam, do you remember at the end of Vinatieri's career, the gray-headed with the Colts? And I'm pretty sure he had the yips, didn't he?
Yeah.
I can't recall personally. No, I don't recall. I can't.
He did go to the Colts after the Patriots.
I do know that he played for the Colts. I don't remember how inaccurate he may have been.
I don't think he had the yips for long.
Check the stats that last season, though, man, because I remember there was a stretch where he couldn't hit an extra point. Like, it was incredible. I'm surprised that doesn't hurt people, the first couple of years.
But, Adam, are you going to say that in a 24-year career, having the yips your last year is going to take you down? I don't think so, right?
Well, no. And I disagree with Derek that you can write the story without Adam Vinatieri. I don't think you can. So,
you can definitely write the story without Adam.
I do think he was on a big cheating organization, and so they should all be punished. They should have to wait for a long time. But no, dude, I think you got to tell him when he tells the story.
You know what's interesting? He's actually on the Colts longer than he was on the Patriots.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
He just kicked forever. He got to the Colts at age 34, and he kicked with them until he was 46.
Wow.
That's crazy. 47, actually. He kicked some games when he was 47.
In his final season in 2019, he was 17 for 25 on field goals, 68%. And he missed 6 extra points. So Adam's story checks out, but I am not going to hold that against Adam Vinatieri. 615-737-1025. Your thoughts on NFL honors? Matthew Stafford wins MVP. Mike Vrabel wins Coach of the Year. the Hall of Fame class: Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, Roger Craig. We'll take your thoughts on it. 615-737-1025. But coming up next, a pretty big case was heard today in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and we will discuss that coming up next, including an extraordinary step that the college commissioner took yesterday as well. 615-737-1025. Register today for Stars Trivia Night at Boomba's in East Nashville on Thursday, February 19th. It will be a night full of fun, food, and prizes, all while supporting Stars Nashville, a nonprofit providing free mental health support for students in over 200 schools across Middle Tennessee. More details on how to register, visit thegamenashville.com/events.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. If you injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible or nothing at all. But Law Tigers fights to get you the compensation you deserve, and they don't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you and what it means to you. So they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. So call 1-800-LAW Tigers or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fusen, and you can find them in Nashville at 2126 21st Ave South. And don't forget, go to predatorsbike.com to enter to win a custom Nashville Predator Indian motorcycle signed by the entire team, courtesy of Law Tigers and Music City Indians. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
What? I've probably spent too much time like thinking about this, but like, man, I feel for the kid in a way, because like, what happens tomorrow if like he gets denied? What does he do? And like, that's and I probably shouldn't put any like thought towards it, but like, I hope the decision makers in that room have like thought through that. Because are we setting this kid up for failure by bringing him back? And I'm almost rooting for him to be able to play tomorrow on Saturday, because I don't want him to be in a situation where he's got to make some real difficult decisions.
That was Auburn head basketball coach Stephen Pearl on Charles Bediako. Auburn plays Alabama tomorrow in college hoops. And will Bediako be on the floor for the Crimson Tide? I think we'll find out pretty soon. There was a hearing today in Tuscaloosa. For those who haven't been following the story, Charles Bediako is a former, and I guess now current, member of the...
Both.
Former and current member of the Alabama basketball team, who recently had his college eligibility temporarily reinstated after spending 2.5 years competing in the NBA Summer League and the G League. He never appeared in an actual NBA game, but he did play in the Summer League and he did play in the G League. He's played 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, for Alabama. And there's a hearing today to decide whether he can continue to play for Alabama or not.
So absurd.
It is absurd. But I thought Greg Sankey took an extraordinary step yesterday. He argued against Bediako's request for ongoing eligibility in an affidavit filed Thursday. He asked the court to uphold the NCAA's eligibility rules and deny Bediako a preliminary injunction that would allow him to continue playing. This is the first time I can recall, and look, it's a whole new world out there, but this is the first time I can recall a college commissioner actively going against a member school. Because if Greg Sankey gets his wish, Bediako will not be playing, and that will hurt Alabama, I would assume. So, to me, Willie...
They were pretty good without him.
Right.
He's definitely a guy that makes a difference. He's a 7-foot guy with, obviously some sort of professional talent, right? So he's a difference maker. I wonder, chemistry-wise, what this is doing to their locker room, what it's doing to the other players on the team, to the coaching staff, the stress, the distraction. And at the end of the year, they'll decide if it's worth it or not.
But my point is Sankey.
I like that.
Sankey ruling or choosing to, or hoping that the NCAA rules against a school in his conference.
Right. I like that he took the stance. And he doesn't do it without a lot of thought. But in my mind, this is how it's going to have to get done in the meantime. There's going to have to be leaders of the sport decide this is what we think is reasonable. And maybe they even have to go as far as to say what a football player does may be different than a basketball player, maybe different than a soccer player, than a tennis player. But each sport has to make their rules and say, these are the rules. And everybody that's deciding to play in this league and in the NCAA, and it may not be left to Charlie Baker at the top of the NCAA. We're going to have to figure it out collectively. Like when we have our fantasy football league, we decide in our league what the rules are, right? We don't have to do the rules that the next league does or the other league does, or even on the website can allow you to change the rules. But once you decide what the rules are, we play. That's that's the principle that I think has to emerge here. And there's got to be leadership that make it happen. If you're waiting on Congress or if you're waiting on the courts, it's just going to continue to be craziness.
Listen, they've gotten themselves in this.
Absolutely. And so is Bediako. So I don't feel bad for Bediako.
So it's like, they could have stopped this a long time ago. And the problem is that every state has its own little deal. It's not like it's uniform across the board. whether it be here in Tennessee or in Alabama or in Michigan. It's like all the rules are different when it comes to college eligibility, so to speak. And, depending on, who you are, one judge had to recuse himself because he allowed the case to be brought in from Alabama with the basketball guy, and he pushed it forward, but now he's recusing himself, and now the stay is in place. So now they got to go through the whole thing. They got to go through whatever legal road they have to travel, but it's going to take a minute. So they know exactly what they're doing. There are some coaches that don't like it. Well, at least they don't like it until it can possibly happen in their favor. I just think they need to, get in a closed door meeting, and whether it's the Power 4 or NCAA period, but I think it should be the Power 4, where they come up with their rules, that age limit where it stops. Because if it doesn't, each state is going to do whatever benefits the university, whatever benefits that state university, whether it's University of Alabama.
We have no chance. We have no chance if it goes to that, right?
The interesting thing to me about Sankey siding with the NCAA is that it comes at a time when two other SEC athletes are in cases hoping to extend their eligibility. Joey Aguilar and Trinidad Chambliss. So I'm wondering if Sankey's point of view on Bediako is the same for Aguilar and Chambliss.
And that is a very fair question. That's why I bring up that football might be different than basketball, than tennis. There might have to be separate rules just because of how it's been done for a long time. But there are some common sense principles that I think you have to start with. And that is, if you decide to venture towards the NBA, that is a line where you can't come back from. And I think there's also an age that I think we need to decide on. That what's the oldest you should be able to play college athletics, period. I don't care what the reason is. Religion, injury, hardship, all of that stuff, military, minor league baseball, all of the reasons why, for whatever the case, guys are playing 25, 26 years old, it's got to stop. Let's just make a rule. It's reasonable. It's common sense. It's not unfair after a certain point. Sometimes life is tough and you don't get 6 or 7 years to play your 4 years. It's just the way it is.
I think there's always a circumstance where, that next year is warranted or deserved, or I understand, whatever situation you were in, whether it's a hardship, a parent passing, or you get injured in multiple years. I can understand something like that happening.
Yeah, there always has been some leeway for that.
Absolutely. But if you go out and you purposely and intentionally go to the next level, and if somebody drafts you or you become a free agent and somebody picks you up, that's it. You shouldn't be able to come back, because now, even though you haven't played in a professional game, you've already declared yourself as a professional. And that's not, it seems like if they don't get this right, that's what can potentially happen moving forward.
You know who I blame for all of this?
Who is that?
Diego Pavia.
Hey, that's what they said. That he was the start of it.
Did he not open Pandora's box, Willie?
To a degree, but it's going to the next level now. And like Zakai Ziegler was trying to take it to another degree too, unsuccessfully. I guess there are lawyers that they see that there is a case, and they won't stop pushing the envelope. So they just keep moving the line and blurring the line, and it gets more dynamic. So it's got to stop somewhere. So somebody has to step in leadership and decide these are the common sense things that we think in this new wave of NIL and the transfers. We have to decide what the rules are, the simple rules. Let's start with the basic ones, and then we'll get to the other stuff.
Dan Wetzel had a great line in a column he wrote earlier this week. You can't play U8 soccer if you're 10.
Exactly.
You can't be on a city team. You can't be on a city team in the Little League World Series if your players hail from 3 states over. You can't play high school sports if you already graduated. You can't get drafted into the NFL until 3 years after high school. This is no longer about establishing guardrails for college sports. It's about having an actual road on which to establish the guardrails.
I thought that was a really good article that he wrote, and that is the principle. It's really not that different. I get it when you're maturing, it sort of evens out as you get older, but there's still an advantage to playing when you're 24, 25 as opposed to 18, 19. It's too wide of a gap.
Yeah, it to me because it sort of lends into sort of the having those circumstances that may allow you to gain that 5th year or 6th year, and you're 25 or 24. I think there is especially if you've been around, played a few years, been around the team, still doing your rehabs or whatnot, you're developing still and you're maturing. And if you are 25, 26 in college, I think that is an inherent advantage for you as a player, regardless of what player or what sport. Now, it doesn't seem to be working out that way for Alabama, but it's early. And what if the injunction is they put another stay on the injunction? He gets to play more. Then he gets used to the team around him, and they build this cohesiveness. And then this may turn out to be a huge plus for Alabama moving forward, because now I'm with a team that I know and I've been playing with for a while.
615-737-1025. We'll find out if Charles Bediako will play for Alabama tomorrow against Auburn. No decision has been made in the court hearing from earlier today, but I think the fallout either way could be mighty interesting. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, we've had a lot of fun this week debating the direction of the Nashville Predators. It's been a busy week for the Predators, starting with Barry Trotz retiring or announcing his retirement on Monday. He's still the GM, of course. But I have a question for Predators fans out there now that we are at the NHL's Olympic break. And we will get to that next. 615-737-1025. Willie Darnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a goal or a resolution to shed some extra pounds, only to face disappointment. But I got some good news, because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick in charge of the music today. A little NFL films.
I was trying to figure out what this was.
Well, when you grow up and it's Super Bowl week, these start circulating, right? Every year.
You love that theme.
Oh, I love it. I the music for NFL films and then the narration of John Facenda. You put those together and you got some great stuff. I don't know why that took me so much as a kid, but I could not get enough. I know every scene of every Super Bowl that he did. He passed away in the early 80s. And then the other guys that have followed him, they do a good job, but it's not the same without him. He's the original.
That sounded like a club remix.
Oh, yeah. Well, the music's good, but the words he chooses, like, it'll make you laugh. There'll be some other ones coming today. That's our theme. Some of the way he describes what's going on, quite catchy.
I look forward to hearing the rest of them. The Predators lost their final game before the NHL's Olympic break last night in Washington, 4-2 to the Capitals. Stop me if you've heard this one before. The Predators fell down 3-0. They made it 3-2, but that's as close as they got. Capitals win 4-2. Predators lose their final 2 games before the NHL's Olympic break. And we've had a lot of fun this week discussing the Predators, mostly at my expense. A lot of you have had some mean things to say about me on the text line, on the phone line, even on social media.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Adam.
Well, you know, I invited it. As I said to Derek a few days ago, I can be the villain in this story. That's okay. But here's what I want to hear from Predators fans, because it's going to be a few weeks until the Predators are back in action. 3 weeks to be precise. Have any fans come around on my way of thinking? That's what I want to know. 615-737-1025. The games have been exciting lately. We saw what happened on Monday. We saw what happened on Wednesday. But at the end of the day, the Predators enter the Olympic break having lost 7 of 10. Yes, they have points in 6 of those 10 games, but they are 3-4-3 in their past 10 games. All 3 wins required multi-goal comebacks. And I'm just wondering if anybody out there who completely disagreed with me earlier this week has maybe thought about it and said, you know what? Maybe Adam's onto something. I'm just curious. That's all I want to know. Has anyone come around on my way of thinking? I know Willie and Derek probably haven't, but I want to know from you. 615-737-1025.
Each game gets you closer to where you have to make the decision. So they're now down to 5 games. We know they can't do anything between now and the time the roster. When does the trade freeze lift?
The 22nd, I believe.
So you still got time to ponder this. Now that they have not done anything, this is how it's going to be for the next couple of weeks. So it's interesting. Like they played one of the best teams in the league in the Wild. A great game. They lose 6-5. And then they have to fly to Washington, which to me is a borderline unfair back-to-back to ask any team to do. And most teams, I guess, get caught in 1 or 2 of these over the course of a season each year. But I can honestly not remember having to play a back-to-back in D.C. the night after a home game. Got in at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's just hard to get to that place. Like sometimes it's not just the distance to the airport. It's the distance of the flight. It's the distance of the flight plus getting to where you need to be from the airport, getting settled, all of that. And yet, despite the fact they got behind early, they played pretty well against Washington, a good, solid team, and almost worked their way back into another game. All that being said, the margin for error is still very small trying to get into the playoffs, which would be the reason to stand pat. And each time you don't win, it almost seems like the end of the world. Whereas, under other circumstances, you wouldn't sweat what happened in the last couple of games. You'd say, hey, really good battle against Minnesota, got a point. came back 3 different times against the Wild, one of the best teams in the league. Got the point. Okay. Washington, tough back-to-back. You work your way back. Analytically, they outplayed the Capitals in a lot of areas. Didn't get the big save. A couple of dumb things that hurt them late. A couple of stupid penalties that they took. And you come up short. Hey, no big deal. But where they are, everything's a big deal because they have no margin for error.
One texter says, I need to know why they give up the first goal every single game. It's crazy to me. We need to sell off, and the fall off of UC Saros needs to be studied. One texter, Matt, and this is something that we are going to discuss. We'll do it right now. Matt says they played better without Jonathan Marchessault. Trade him. Our friend Elliot Freeman, who was kind enough to join us twice this week on Monday and Thursday, in his latest 32 Thoughts column on sportsnet.ca said this, quote, another player to add to your trade boards, Jonathan Marchessault. Nashville has the big names and strong complementary players. Michael McCarron and Nick Perbix would be too, but I sometimes forget Marchessault, and now have been reminded a couple of times. He has control, but there's a willingness between team and player for something to happen. Unique in his case, his preference is somewhere with good minor hockey infrastructure for his children. That line is interesting at the end.
That's new.
But
new that has been reported anyway, right?
Yes, but we have discussed Jonathan Marchessault and his role on the team. And yes, he did score last night, but he committed, let's call it what it is, a dumb slashing penalty last night that basically ended the Predators' attempt at a comeback because the Capitals scored almost instantly to make the game 4-2 on the power play. I am at the point with Marchessault where I just think you need to cut your losses and move on. You're not going to get a lot in return for him. He's not playing well. He's just not a fit here. Take what you can get someone to take the contract, and just move on. And it's okay. It didn't work out. But I just think that for whatever reason, he's just not a fit on this team. Barry Trotz has said on our show that he failed Marchessault by not finding him a center who can bring out the best in him. I don't think that center is showing up in the near future. So find a team in a city with good minor hockey infrastructure for his children and move on. I'm there with him. Move on.
It was a costly penalty last night, and he fell for the trap that really let the team down, in my opinion, just because what had happened before that, if you didn't watch the game, if you only watch the clip of the penalty he took, the first thing you're going to say is, well, Nick Dowd, the player that he slashed, took a dive, which he did. But the context of what was going on, Michael McCarron had gotten away with the slash that the ref didn't see just a few minutes before that. In our broadcast, we noted that it was a missed call that should have given the Capitals a power play. So everybody in the building is very wary of this, and they're on the refs. And you know it's human nature that when that's happening, you're not going to get away with another one. If there's one that's close, the referee is going to automatically say, oh, here's my chance to make up for what everybody in the building saw was a missed call just a few minutes before that. So Marchessault took a very unnecessary slash 150 feet away from where the puck was. And like you said, they cashed in and boom, that was the final nail, where at the time you really felt like people were in the building were nervous, and the Predators, who have been coming back, needed one more play, and maybe it could go a different way. Marchessault has been playing better lately, right? He's gotten, I think, 7 points the last 8 games, something like that. So his production has picked up. But I tend to agree that it just, as you look long term, the fit is not there. And so if there is an option there, I'm not surprised to see Elliott put that out there. But he does have the no trade protection, though. So that's complicated. So I don't know what talks have gone on behind the scenes, because that would be the key.
He has 3 years left on his contract, a $5.5 million cap hit, and a no movement clause. So this could be a situation, a smaller situation than what happened with Artemi Panarin in New York earlier this week, because the two of them are not on the same tier. But Panarin only wanted to go to LA, and that reduced the return that the Rangers received from the Kings in that deal. So the same thing could happen here. Marchessault could say, I only want to go to Montreal. I'm just throwing a team out there. He is from Quebec, so I only want to go to Montreal. Well, the Predators may not get much out of the Canadiens in that situation, and you know what? I'm okay with that. To me, the benefit is just getting him off the books. In 2 seasons with the Predators, he has 31 goals in 116 games. That is a pace of around 22 goals per 82 games. And Willie, you and I and a lot of people knew that when the Predators signed him, he was coming off of a 42-goal season, that he wasn't going to be a 40-goal scorer. That season was a bit of an outlier, to say the least. But I expected more production. And at this point, if a team is willing to give the Predators a mid-round draft pick and take on the whole contract, fine. To me, it's about getting the cap space. He butted heads with Andrew Burnett last season. I'm not sure if that's still going on, but it's just not working. And that's okay. The Predators only spent money to get him here. They did not trade a first-round pick to Vegas to acquire him, and then they're losing out on that asset. They just signed him to a contract in free agency. So bite the bullet, find someone to take him, move on.
I'm curious to see. I feel like there will be interest in him on some level if there's interest on his part to go to some different places. That to me is going to be the determining factor, and the communication that has to go on between, in theory, the Predators and his agent on gauging, what's out there. Because I do think, Adam, that would be the one, because they've played pretty well in his absence and he has missed quite a bit of time, that you could try to thread the needle and say, this isn't working for this player, and this team could still be close to what it has been, even if you move on from him. So I'm curious about that one, but there's a lot of variables there.
Let's go to Rob in Franklin on our phone line. Rob, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
Hey, thanks. Just a quick correction. Panarin did not want to go to LA first. He wanted to go to Florida first. Could make that happen because of a cap reason. So on Marchessault discussion, so you guys are sitting in front of your computers. Who leads the Preds in plus minus right now on the minus category? Just a little hint. It's Marchessault. Last I looked, he was minus 19, right? The guy plays with about his passion. He's like zero passion in his game, zero. And he's on the ice for a lot of mistakes. His passes, his looks are awful, awful. And I know what I'm talking about when I say that. He's sitting in the stands, section 106, sitting right beside Crispy, and he's just shaking his head. What was that? Oh, that was a bad pass. Get rid of this guy. He needs to go. And we were on a tear before they put him back in. And if memory serves me right, the minute we put him back in, we went for a bit of a dive. The guy's got a bad attitude. Get him out of here.
Thank you for the call, Rob. Let's go to Dan on our phone line. Dan, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. I've been pounding the table to maybe get Marchessault in a better position for himself and his family for a month now. And I'm glad that it sounds like a lot more people are, turning their head towards that. But at any rate, I don't understand, and maybe you guys can shed some light on this, why we're not potentially giving more NHL ice time to guys like LaRue and Svechkov and Edstrom and Matthew Wood, of all people, too. I mean, it's not like Milwaukee is in the hunt for, winning the AHL this year. They're barely, making any noise. I think they're 500 as well. And I guess mediocrity tends to be something that's drawn from the top down, unfortunately. But, I have hope that we're going to give more looks to some of these younger guys, because it seems like we're just relying on too much production from guys that are on the wrong side of 30. And then before I hang up, I just wanted to mention again, we're on UC Saros shutout watch. We're now at 13 months and 3 days. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the conversation coming up next because we do have some reaction. Elliot Freeman reporting on sportsnet.ca that Jonathan Marchessault and the Predators, there's a willingness between team and player for something to happen. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David James here with you on a gorgeous, gorgeous Friday in Nashville, Tennessee. Chad Withrow from Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow will join us in roughly 15 minutes. He is at the Super Bowl, so we'll catch up with our friend Chad at around 4:20. A couple of stray reactions to our Predators chat from the previous segment. One texter says, I feel we need to stick to the plan of getting younger and sell where it's smart. If we send off a couple of the current roster, McCarron, Marchessault, Cole Smith, Arikala, who replaces them? Well, you do have bodies in Milwaukee who can replace them in the short term. In the long term, I don't know. The Predators will be able to field a team this season if they trade all of those players. Now, I don't expect them to trade all of those players, but they will be able to field a team. Will it be a good team? Probably not. But you know what? That may be the best thing for them at the end of the season to boost those draft lottery odds. Am I right, guys?
That is what you would be doing.
That's what you want.
I mean, it is what I want. It is what I want. But the Jonathan Marchessault conversation is interesting. As we mentioned, Elliot Freeman, who joins our show every Thursday, had a note in his latest column on sportsnet.ca that there is a willingness between team and player for something to happen. Unique in his case, his preference is somewhere with good minor hockey infrastructure for his children. So I guess what I need to do over the weekend is study where there is good minor hockey infrastructure.
Well, I think you start by saying in Canada, where it's wildly popular more than anything, I think you look at that. You look at places like Minnesota and Massachusetts, Michigan, where there have been youth programs for decades and generations, right? As opposed to other areas of the country where it's
Denver.
Developing, but it's quite unique, right? As opposed to those places. So I don't know. The Marchessault would have to probably circle some cities and say, these are the places I would go. I would think if you're putting all this down, and if that's a consideration, he would just need to tell the Predators. I'm just curious if they've talked about this behind the scenes, because I don't know.
I would have to imagine there has been some sort of conversation behind the scenes. I don't know either, but my gut would tell me that this is something they've probably addressed in some form.
That's an odd detail that Elliot is thrown out there, but for that detail to come out, it would seem to indicate that this has been something that's been discussed inwardly amongst each other. But you can't know that until somebody verifies it. It's all speculation. I would say that Mark has been better in the last handful of games, even though they have cooled off one loss wise.
Good. Boost that trade value.
Well, but I think that's part of what had to happen if anybody was going to take him. He had to start playing better. That's the dilemma you're in, right? You have to hope a guy starts playing well enough to where a team wants him. And there was a time where he had gone through a real big drought. He was in and out. He was injured. It's hard to trade somebody like that. But now that he's starting to show some signs of production, maybe that changes the game a little bit.
The same texter who asked the previous question says, sorry, I thought you'd be smart enough to understand the question, being which specific players would you pull up from Milwaukee to replace the players that you send out? Obviously, we would field the team.
Okay, so let's look.
Okay.
Well, let's look at some of the guys that, like, let's start with the discussion of Luke Evangelista.
That was a mocking tone, by the way, texter. A mocking tone.
Yeah, I think he got a little smart alecky with you, and that struck a chord. Is that
indeed?
Is how you read that?
Indeed.
Give Adam a little credit, guys. He
knows
the Milwaukee guys. So, Luke Evangelista, would we agree? Last year was a frustrating year, a step back. Got injured, wasn't productive, kind of got lost. He was a healthy scratch at times.
Yes.
This year, he's taken it to a whole nother level. So, a guy that may not look good in a stretch of a season one year could look completely different the next year in a better or even worse way. So let's take Fedor Svechkov. Nothing has gone right for that kid. It's a shame because the players love him. He is a great kid. He's got a great attitude. He works hard. it just hasn't gone well. They've had to send him back, and they gave him there was a caller before. They're saying they're not giving the young guys a chance. They gave Svechkov tons of chances, probably because of the lack of number of centers that they have, right? They've now had to basically go to Tyson Jost as an every night center, and he's more of a utility guy. He's really not a center. He's a guy who can play center, and he's done a nice job for what he is. Matt Wood, he also mentioned. They gave Matt Wood a long leash of games where he wasn't producing at all, and they finally made the decision to send him down yesterday. So it's not like they're not giving these guys a chance. There are other guys. LaRue is a guy that I'm sure is chomping at the bit to get back up and have a chance. If they trade a couple of guys, I think LaRue would be in the picture. I think Joachim Kemmel would clearly be in the picture.
Reed Schaefer.
Yeah, and Schaefer has come back up, so
yeah.
He's already there to some degree.
Maybe David Edstrom. Maybe you give him a run.
That's one at the end of a year. If you're completely out of it, I think you would give him some games.
And if you're trading all of those players that was mentioned in the Smart Alecky texter's text, you're probably putting yourself in a position where you're gonna be out of it, and you're gonna give the younger players
100%. If you go down
runway,
that road.
yes. So. There you go, texter. Do you feel better now? Do you feel better? Okay. Nevertheless, as I said before, when I look at Marchessault, what could you get back for him? Frankly, that's the least of my concerns. Just give me something. Just give me something so that I don't have to retain any of his salary. He's making $5.5 million per season. He's under contract for 3 more years. The Predators have 1 salary retention slot this season, but 2 of those are off the books at the end of the season, Matthias Ekholm and Colton Sissons. So 2 more will open up. But for this season, they can only retain salary on 1 trade.
So in a hypothetical thing where you're considering this, that would be something. Because if you use it, that's your 1 this year at the trade deadline. You can't use it for anybody else. But like you said, you would have 2 more slots opening up next year. So would you be willing to use your 1 spot in the at the moment on Marchessault to retain some salary? Because you'd have to retain it for a while, right? It's 3 more years on his contract. That's a dilemma. And the good thing is he doesn't have a huge number. It might seem like it, but really $5.5 million is not that much to get in under your cap for a good team. But it would sweeten the pot. Would you agree, Adam, if you're saying, hey, the other team might say, I like Marchessault, but if I'm going to do it for 3 more years, I need him at $4 million, or I need him at 3.5. And every little bit that you cut down, you're like, okay, I can make that work. Marchessault could still be good for us because I'm going to play him over here. I'm going to play him with these guys. He's going to fit better with us. And maybe they throw in more if that's the deal. Asking a team to take 3 years and 5.5, you'll clearly get less back.
Correct. And Barry Trotz said on our show a few weeks ago, he even said, when people talk about me trading Jonathan, they say, hey, if you put him with a high-end center, he's going to score 30 goals. And there are probably teams around the NHL right now looking at his production with the Predators and saying, that seems like a Predators problem, not a Marchessault problem. Now, how true is that?
It's the eye of the beholder.
It's the eye of the beholder, but it's clearly not a fit. And we see this all the time in sports. The change of scenery trade. And that's what I think needs to happen here. Again, all the Predators had to give up to bring him in was money. They signed him to a contract in free agency. That's all they had to do. They did not trade a top prospect for him. They did not trade a top draft pick for him. They just gave him a check. So if the Predators cut their losses and say, you know what, we're not interested in retaining any salary, and the acquiring team says, okay, we'll take it. Here's a 5th round pick. That's the best we're going to do. You know what I would say? Fine. I will take your 5th round pick just to get his contract off my salary cap. That's where I am with him.
And the first thing is he's got to agree to a list of teams, and then you have to go to that list of teams and find a couple that are interested. The other thing that we haven't brought up is, would you take, if you're the Predators, a Jonathan Marchessault from the other team, right? A guy that's not fitting in there, that maybe is a salary that's significant, that he would take the change of scenery to come to Nashville. That's the other scenario where this could work. Only time will tell. But I do think that would be one to keep your eye on. And you just add it to the list of all the other ones. It's not like we've never mentioned him before, but it's complicated with the no movement clause.
Joey from Bellevue says, Willie, you can put Adam on a line with O'Reilly and Stamkos, and he would have 40 points by now. No, I would not. I can't skate a lick. I would maybe have like 15 points.
So I don't know if that. Well, I get that. I would have 0. I can't get up and down the ice.
I'm kidding. I would also have 0, not even 15.
If he's implying, though, that Evangelista is benefiting from those two guys, it's really Evangelista has moved from line to line. Evangelista has done amazingly well. He's a guy that has made a jump, and that's been one of the best stories. It is the best story of the young players for the Predators who have taken a step forward. He's taken a gigantic step forward. And now you've got to hope that guys like Wood and Schaefer eventually take a similar step forward in the coming years. Svechkov, and then this other group that's a little bit younger that we haven't seen yet.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Predators are off for the next 3 weeks, because of the NHL's Olympic break. I am psyched for Olympic hockey. I am wondering, and we could talk about this over the course of the month, I am wondering if fans are as excited about Olympic hockey as I know we are because of the Four Nations face-off and how incredibly popular that was, because I'm expecting some fantastic games. The Predators have multiple representatives in the Olympics: Philip Forsberg, UC Saros, Eric Haula, Roman Josi. Am I forgetting anybody?
Haula, Josi, Forsberg, Saros.
Yes. So
and Kevin Morley, the trainer for Team USA.
Unfortunately, he won't be on the ice.
He will not be on the ice.
But he's a part of the team. He's a part of the team.
Yeah.
But Forsberg, Saros, Haula, and Josi will be playing in the Olympics for their respective nations. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us. He is live in the Bay Area for Super Bowl 60. We'll catch up with him, what he's seen, what he's heard. We'll do it next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. teammates Vingan and Donnie.
Hold on.
Offense passed out gifts like a department store Santa Claus, and the hustling Cowboys gleefully scooped up the goodies.
Gleefully scooped up the goodies.
That's what we do on this show. We gleefully scoop up the goodies, like the Doomsday Defense.
That's when Derek brings cupcakes in for all of us, actually.
And I thought about it today, but I had to take my
Don't tease us like that.
Had to take my peeps to the airport, man. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
Next week.
Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Speaking of the Super Bowl, let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com and welcome in our friend Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton Withrow. He is live in the Bay Area ahead of Super Bowl 60. Hi, Chad. How are you?
Doing well, guys.
So, Chad, you've been out there all week. What is the most interesting thing you saw or heard during your week on Super Bowl Radio Row?
Well, the most interesting thing that we did or got to do was we've got an interview with Tony Vitello, new San Francisco Giants manager, where we were welcomed into Oracle Park and into the clubhouse for the interview. And Hutton and I got a chance to sit down with Tony for about 22 minutes, which is funny because he was number 22 at Tennessee, and he joked about calling Will Clark and asking to unretire his number to wear number 22 in the interview. So that was definitely the most interesting thing that we saw. I'll say this, guys, like this has been a very news light week in terms of the game itself, as opposed to most Super Bowls. You know, it's not been a lot of talk about the actual game between the Patriots and the Seahawks.
I thought you were going to say Ryan Leaf trying to fight that internet doctor.
Oh, yes. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up, Adam, because we have Dr. Chow on our show a lot, and he has a kind of a partnership with Outkick. He joined us right after Ryan Leaf went off on him, and we didn't know what had just happened, and he wasn't even that off or anything. So I didn't see the awful announcing story. Ryan Leaf's walking around the next day. We brought him over and had him on the show. And before he started, because we're friends with Ryan too and have had him on a lot. And Ryan Leaf says, you want to get into the Dr. Chow stuff? Let's go. And I'm like, sure. And I mean, he used to call him a despicable human being. His face is shaking as he's talking about it. I asked him, would you ever speak to him to clear the air? And he said, no, I have no interest in talking to him. It was wild. So yeah, anytime you get a media skirmish, it's always an eventful day.
Indeed. So you said that it's a light news week ahead of this matchup, but how would you describe the level of the Mike Vrabel love fest ahead of this game?
It's a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, he's the biggest celebrity in this game right now is Mike Vrabel. So there's no doubt about that. You don't have the high profile quarterback matchup you've had in recent years. So everybody's going to draw on them.
Well, Chad's phone is breaking up. Hopefully we can get him in a... Can you hear us, Chad?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, we just broke up there. Okay, you're good now.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it's at a 9.5 out of 10 with Vrabel because he's the biggest celebrity in this game. You know, there's no Pat Mahomes in this game. There's no huge superstar player. It's Mike Vrabel, and I don't think most people could pick Mike McDonald out if he was standing in their front yard, they wouldn't know who he was. The quarterback matchup isn't as high profile in years past. So, yeah, I think everybody's talking about Mike Vrabel because he's the biggest star at the Super Bowl.
Now, looking at let's switch over to college basketball, college sports, period. Looking at what's going on in not just Alabama, but there are a couple other places. And Ralph Russo wrote an article about it in The Athletic about what's going on. How do you think all of this sort of shakes out? Because we've heard Sankey, he made a statement about it, and he seems to be on the side of the NCAA, which I think he should be, because I think there should be an age requirement. But how do you think this all shakes out?
You know, it's really hard to know because these local courts, you know, continue to side with the local players, and that's always going to trump NCAA rules. I mean, the only way it goes away is if teams just all, you know, decide to form a pact and say, you know, we're not going to do this. And that's kind of what everybody wants with the Bediako case, where it's pretty clear, you know, you shouldn't be able to go and play in college and then get up your eligibility, play ball and come back. And I think everybody almost agrees on that, but yet he hasn't had his day in court yet. So the temporary restraining order is still in place, and you can't do anything on it. So I don't know how it all shakes out. Even locally with Tennessee and Joey Aguilar, I mean, yeah, that would be great for Tennessee. It's bad for the sport. I think Diego Pavia getting the extra year, great for Vandy, bad for the sport. Bad precedent to set with the lawsuit and with the rules changing. So, guys, I don't really know where it all goes, but I know right now it's a mess. And as long as local courts are going to trump the process of the NCAA rules, then we're going to continue to have more and more of this.
Do you expect to see that where, if you did it, I'm going to do it. Well, if they did it, I'm going to do it. You expect to see that in the court moving forward, because we don't know what the NCAA is going to ultimately do. But do you expect to see more of that, where individually these states are doing what's best for their university, at least their state university?
I think you're going to see more of the Joey Aguilar, Trinidad Chambliss variety of this. I don't know I think Bediako's kind of an outlier, and we're not going to see a lot more of that. But yeah, guys who have just been in college or played college sports and didn't leave to go pro, I think you're going to see them continue to challenge, and with help of the school too, to stay eligible and continue playing college football, especially at the quarterback position. I do think that's going to continue to happen. I don't know that we're going to see a lot more Charles Bediakos, especially if the court eventually rules against them.
And the G League thing is one thing. The Europe thing is more complicated when you say for the basketball part of it, Chad. And some coaches would say, I'd rather have the young pro out of Europe than the kid from the G League, at least in a lot of cases. So how do you try to police the whole world, right? Because that's what you got to do if you're going to cut off the G League thing. But this is why you can't open the can of worms.
Yeah, and I just think that, Willie, I mean, and the difference in the European leagues and the G League and everything else. It's just when you add that step of Charles Bediako was a starter on the Alabama basketball team, a team that was very good. And he was there for 2 years, and he made a mistake, and he left early, and it hadn't panned out in the pros. And then to come back at the end of that's the big difference. If a guy's is European, he's playing in the Euro Leagues, never played college basketball, and then he starts his clock, eventually after playing there, I think it's just a little bit different than someone who it's like a free pass. It's a get out of jail free card. Hey, I made a terrible professional decision, but let me go back and make a bunch of money to play college basketball. Again, I just think, it's just different with Bediako versus and I think all of them are wrong to different extents for the sport itself, but I think Bediako is an outlier.
What is Trinidad Chambliss's argument? I'm trying to figure that one out myself.
Isn't he arguing something about an injury, even though he played in the games that would disqualify him from a medical red shirt, that he should get a medical red shirt year, I think is what he's arguing. I mean, honestly, I don't want to make light of all this, but what's Joey Aguilar arguing?
Right.
I mean, they just want to keep playing.
Right. I think that's where you have to have
one more year.
Yeah. It's like if you had 100 just regular people in there, it's just hard to win that argument. At some point, you're like, okay, you've been in college for a long time. Let's move on. And what about the kids that are coming up through high school? Those are the kids I always continue to think about, is the log jam that's created by all of these people able to stay an extra year or two.
Well, I think about George McIntyre at Tennessee right now, kind of waiting in the wings. He was a 5-star recruit at Brentwood Academy. He looked like he was going to be the starter, but the whole time, Aguilar has still been on campus. He's been rehabbing after surgery. He's been around the facility. He's going to class. He's trying to be the starter also. So if he wins this court case and he's the starter, then George McIntyre probably transfers. You're talking about the churn of the players beneath the guys who are sticking around college forever until they're 25, 26 years old. And again, the argument, and I'm a Tennessee guy, and Aguilar would be great for Tennessee. It's wrong for the sport, because the argument is just, well, I'm sacrificing a lot of money because I'm not an NFL quarterback, and I could make $2 million this next year, which is, generational money for me to come back and play at Tennessee. Well, it's against the rules. I mean, that's the only argument is, this sucks for me that I have to leave college, right? And I think if that's the argument for Chambliss or Pavia or Aguilar or anyone, I think it's wrong. I don't think it's what's best for the rules of the sport.
I'm curious, after your interview with Tony Vitello, how do you think he will do in the major leagues?
I asked him specifically, can you carry this, energy drink level atmosphere that you bring to a team for 162 games. And he brought up Logan Webb, pitcher for the Giants. And he's like, I'm going to coach some older guys who have a process and have to do. I'm here to help those guys in any way that I can. But he said, 80% of major league players are a lot like the guys that I've coached at Tennessee. They're a little bit wild. They're wild men. They don't mind all of that. With other guys who are older, you got to let up a little bit. But he just wants guys to be who they are. I'll say this, Willie. I have no clue how he's going to do. And we talked a little bit about this. If he doesn't do well, he's going to come back to college and probably be the highest paid coach in college baseball. So he could always go back to college where we know he's an excellent coach. But I think the baseball world is watching. They open on March 26th, the only game that day, against the Yankees at Oracle Park in San Fran. And it's the first game that ever aired on Netflix for Major League Baseball. So there is going to be a circus surrounding Tony Vitello because it's so unprecedented to see a college coach that's never coached professionally get a Major League Baseball managerial spot. So I think everybody, the eyes of the sport are kind of on him to see if this succeeds. But I have no idea. I mean, he's done well in college. Will it translate to Major League Baseball? We'll find out soon enough.
I think there'll be a lot of people watching closely to see how that goes. You're right. And I think of all the college basketball coaches, like a Tubby Smith or a John Calipari that tried the pro thing, ended up coming back. So I'm more of a college guy. There's plenty of people like that, and Vitello would be one. And it's sort of unprecedented in baseball, right? There's just not a lot of stories, if any, of great college baseball coaches becoming great major league managers.
I really, and I was researching this, I don't think it's happened. I think we've had guys who I think coached a little bit in the minor leagues, then went and coached college, then got a job in Major League Baseball from the college ranks. But I don't think we've ever seen a guy who was a career assistant and then head coach in college baseball, skip everything else and go straight to the majors. And it's a lot about his relationship with the GM there, his relationship with Buster Posey also, which he gets into in the interview. But, I'm fascinated to watch this. And are they going to make an example, Major League Baseball umpires we asked them about this. You think you're going to get tossed early? They're going to be eyeing you because of your reputation coming in with umpires, right? Like all of these things, it makes it a must watch. And Tony Vitello could become one of the biggest celebrities in the sport very quickly. If that team's good with his personality and how magnetic that guy is, I think he could be great for Major League Baseball if he could get things rolling here in San Francisco.
Chad, this is an outside-the-box question for you, but from afar, can't you see the intrigue of this, right? You know all about Jimmy Sexton and CAA and Nick Saban, right? So here's this firm that's going to go hire the next Predators GM. But there's Elliot Friedman's talking about some pushback, how the NHL doesn't go for that, having agents in the mix representing coaches and GMs as well as players. Other sports, they do it. Hockey really hasn't done it. But can you imagine Jimmy Sexton and his influence getting in on the NHL? That's a new world there.
That's a very different accent Jimmy Sexton will be dealing with as opposed to a lot of his clients, I feel like, yes. Right? Like when you go to Saskatchewan and get talent, it's very different than going to Tupelo, Mississippi for Jimmy Sexton, because he's synonymous to me with the South, and he's Memphis based obviously, but lives here in Nashville now. I know a lot as well, and SEC coaches and all that. But he's also a kingmaker. So yeah, I think it'd be great if he dips his toes into the NHL and representation there as well, because he's proven himself to be one of the most influential men in football for sure, especially with his coaching. And the Nick Saban part of this really fascinates me with Sexton, with the Predators and everything else. Is what kind of influence is he going to have on the organization?
By the way, the Giants hiring of Vitello marked the first time a big league team hired a manager directly from a college program without any experience as a professional coach. So first
completely
in Major League
unprecedented.
Baseball. Yes.
And guys, to take you behind the scenes a little bit too, we walked up to the park and Tony came and met us, and we're walking around, and he doesn't even know what gate to enter yet to go down to the field. And we were trying to get in, and he's a very nice guy. And one of the security guards is like, well, you can't get in here without a credential. And he's like, yeah, I don't have a credential. I'm sorry. I've got someone coming to meet me. And I'm thinking that would have been a very easy moment to say, hey, do you know who I am? I'm the manager of the San Francisco Giants. Let me and my friends in. But instead, he waited for someone to come out and get him. We walked through the left field wall, down to home plate, then into the dugout, into the clubhouse. But he's still like walking around talking to Floyd Field for everything at his new job, which he has not completely learned everything about it yet. So it's kind of fun behind the scenes to watch that happen. But unprecedented, historical, Adam, as you just said, it's never happened before.
Brandon in Herbachit says, where can I find this Outkick interview with Tony Vitello?
We are piecing it together. There's going to be some preview clips of it, and we will post it. I believe the plan is when pitchers and catchers report on Tuesday, the full interview will be out there. So I don't make the call on that, guys, but apparently we are holding on to it until Tuesday. That's how valuable it is to the company.
I'm just picturing the guy at the gate that's telling him, hey, you can't come in until we get we've got to get this sorted out. I believe you, but we got to get your credential. Like, Tony Vitello is going to be one of the bigger stories at the beginning of the season. That guy is going to be kicking himself going, geez, the manager came in here. I didn't know who he was.
Well, I had a chance to talk to him.
Here's another really funny part, guys, about this behind the scenes. We're walking, and I'm walking with my buddy Clay Travis, who's now, pretty big celebrity also, and he's buddies with Tony Vitello, and me and Hutton are walking outside the park. And you know how they have like the energy drink girls that are passing out free energy drinks to people and trying to get pictures of you drinking the energy drink? Well, these two girls approach us and get a picture with all of us, with Tony Vitello and Clay Travis in the photo, just generic holding the energy drink that they're hawking on everybody. And I'm thinking those girls have no idea what type of fine they just had with that when they just posted on that energy drink page, not knowing that they've got Clay Travis and the manager of the San Francisco Giants out in front of Oracle Park.
Yeah, we met these nice guys. We got some more people. Yeah.
And it should surprise no one. Tony Vitello, big energy drink guy, down that energy drink in about 3 minutes.
No surprise there. Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton Withrow has been our guest on D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick. He joins us every Friday. Chad, great stuff as always. We look forward to the Tony Vitello interview, and we'll catch up next week.
Yeah, thanks. Talk to you soon.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, ahead of the Super Bowl, there is something that has divided football. And no, it's not Bad Bunny's halftime show. Could we see it Sunday? We'll discuss that next. 615-737-1025. In the meantime, we do have a giveaway. If you would like a pair of tickets to see Trevor Noah at the Ryman this Tuesday, February 10th, be caller number 4. 615-737-1025. Caller number 4 will win a pair of tickets to see Trevor Noah at the Ryman Auditorium this coming Tuesday, February 10th. Call now. Caller number 4. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. If you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. But Law Tigers fights to get you the compensation you deserve, and they don't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike and gear means to you, so they will help you get it all repaired, or better yet, replaced. Call 1-800 Law Tigers or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Houston, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. And don't forget, go to predatorsbike.com to enter to win a custom-made Nashville Predator Indian motorcycle signed by the entire team, courtesy of Law Tigers in Music City, Indiana. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyer.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you, getting you in the mood for the Super Bowl on Sunday. Patriots versus Seahawks. Super Bowl 60, which is just a weird thing to say.
We just heard the clip from Super Bowl 10.
Yes.
Man.
Super Bowl 60.
Which was the best Super Bowl ever. At least at the time.
The Carnival of Color.
It beat the first 9. I don't know about the next 50.
There might be a few other really good Super Bowls
Some
here
other
and
good
there.
ones since then. Yeah.
Yes. Small sample size back then. Now we have 60 Super Bowls starting on Sunday. And there could be something that happens on Sunday that has divided the football watching community. Going for it on 4th down. We saw it just a couple of weeks ago. Broncos, Patriots, AFC title game. Sean Payton decides to go for it on 4th and 1 from the Patriots 14-yard line. A field goal would have made it 10-0. Broncos did not score incomplete pass, and they came back to haunt the Broncos by the end of the game.
It ended up being the Monday morning quarterback story, right? It was the classic second guess that will be haunting the Broncos the whole offseason, right?
So on Monday, as we review Super Bowl 60, will we be discussing such a play? Because as this story from The Athletic points out, written by Jason Lloyd, NFL teams opted to go for it on nearly 34% of 4th down opportunities in opponent territory in 2025, the highest rate of any season this century.
It's gone up. It keeps going up because the math is in the favor of going for it. They also point out, in contrast to the Broncos play, where in retrospect, you're sitting there going, well, and retrospect is easy, right? But at the time, I definitely had the thought while I was freezing in my house, which had no power, and I had my little space heater out there, I'd kick it here, right? I didn't even know about the snowstorm that was coming in the second half. So all of these things factor in, but certainly in hindsight, kicking it looks like it should have been the play with Jarrett Stidham as your quarterback, all of those factors. They also point out in the college championship game, a huge decision was made by Indiana on the great run by Fernando Mendoza, where he makes that majestic leap into the end zone. That was that wasn't 4th and 1. That was 4th and 4. 4th and 4 from the 12, where they were all lined up to kick. And nope, we're going to go for it. And it worked. So they look like geniuses. There's no doubt in my mind, Derek, that when they said it's true, but that doesn't account for the particular situation that a particular team is in under a particular set of circumstances. And that's where this article is really cool, because they bring in the old school guy, Mike Marsh, who was
greatest show on turf,
the offensive coordinator against D-Mace's Titans in Super Bowl 34, and a progressive mind at the time, but he's the old school guy now, and he just tore into this analytics stuff. He said, it makes me want to throw up. I want to get out of there. So it was a great debate, and I'm wondering if we might see something like that on Sunday. We probably will, because of what Adam just said. People are going for it commonly now. In when you're in plus territory, 4th and 3, 4th and 4, you're going for it. People don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a play or two where a team is going to elect to go for it in the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see it. But a lot of it's become.
So when you're watching, do you see yourself going their direction, or are you old school?
Y'all know how. Listen, I like analytics, but I'm also a guy that just like to watch the game, and it's based upon feel.
Watch the game, nerds.
What does your team look like? What is the sort of vibe on the sideline?
Yeah,
the mood, the feel. Yeah, what is that on the sideline? You can't discount that. You really can't, because I think more than anything, that is more important than the actual analytics. Because if your guys on the sideline and they just don't, you just don't feel it, then you're not, as a form, you just don't go for it. I think if certain times of the game and you feel your team has momentum, then that's the instance where you say, okay, the analytics does match, or how my team looks and what they're doing matches the analytics. So we're going to go for it. But they also talked about in our article, every situation isn't the same. So like you said, Willie, when they do these studies and they do these numbers, they're doing it based on 30 different scenarios, and they're coming up with one number. They're not saying that, okay, this team is a better run team, and it was 4th and 1, so they ran the ball. This team is a better pass team, so it was 4th and 2, they threw the ball, or they tried to run the ball, couldn't run. They don't break it down like that. They break it down based upon whether you got the first down or you didn't. That's basically how it is, and I get it because it's the numbers. But every situation isn't the same. So I enjoy what Mike Martz said. I wouldn't go as far as he did, but I do enjoy that he's one of those coaches, because these company organizations are paying a lot of money to get the analytics, because they're trying to get the upper hand in certain situations. But a lot of times it's the feel of the team. And Mike Martz is still, like, even though he was an innovator, his team was one of the first team, was the first team that scored back-to-back 500 points. And I think, it's 3 years in a row they scored 500 points. And they had 2,000-yard receivers, 1,000-yard rusher, and he had 1,000 yards receiving, I think, at one point, or close to it. Oz Hakeem, Ricky Pro. This team was all gas, no break. That was truly all gas with no break. But I think a lot of his was, it's a feel. I'm feeling how my guys are playing. And you knew when Mike Martz was going for it and when he wasn't, because you can tell that team, when they were revving up and going, he was going for it just about every time, because he felt you couldn't stop him.
The St. Louis Rams between 1999 and 2001 scored 526 points, 540 points, and 503 points. More from this article on The Athletic. Quote, taking the points isn't a guarantee. Kickers still have to make their kicks, which they did 97% of the time on attempts within 35 yards. Teams are converting 4th downs about 57% of the time. It's easy to see why fans get so upset when teams turn down a 97% chance for a 57% chance, yet the numbers indicate teams have gotten better at going for it on 4th down in the red zone over the years. As recently as 2020, teams went for it on 4th down 159 times in the red zone, converting 51% of them. The average line to gain was 2.4 yards away. This season, the line to gain was 2.7 yards away. Still fairly similar to 5 years ago, yet teams went for it 237 times.
Way more.
And converted on 57% of them.
But see, they don't break. Again, they're not breaking. How many times were those, how many moments was it that going for it was to win the game?
The context
exactly. I'm sure if it was to win the game, then you're going to go for it.
One of the first coaches who I ever saw really bucked the system, and part of it was because I think they had trouble with their kicker. But Steve Spurrier with the Florida Gators in the 90s, that he was that riverboat gambler guy, but he instilled it in his team. I thought the mental part was big. He was like, yeah, we're going for it. And if your team accepts that, and you're going to be going for it when it's 4th and 3, that probably helps you get it a higher percentage of the time. That would be one of my theories why they're converting more, because they just have this mindset. I think it used to be such a big deal in football.
Oh, yeah.
20, 25 years ago. Oh, my gosh, they're going for it. They're not going to kick the field goal. Oh, my gosh, they're going for it. And sometimes I think the huddle, the offensive players like, what are we doing? We're going for it? Like, that might keep you from being focused on the play because you're just not used to doing that. So, you know who is one of the most progressive coaches in this area? Mike Vrabel. He goes for it a lot, as the article points out. They converted 83% of their 4th down going for it. So Vrabel, and I think he showed this when he was coaching for the Titans. He was progressive, even though he's got that old school vibe about him. like the big, tough, intimidating coach. He's progressive when it comes to going for it. The Seahawks are the opposite. They don't go for it as much.
And this is just on going for 4th and goal, 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 on 4th down.
In the red zone.
It's interesting because, and I know this isn't the same because it's not an actual 4th down, but it is an extra down. If you don't get it, you just lose the point. But listening to Jeff Fisher, and I've heard him say this plenty of times, but listening to him, and I think this time either Joe or Chase asked him, would you have gone for it? And even he said no.
Right.
Because why? Because again, this is all about situations, and every play or every 4th down or go for it isn't the same. This wasn't the same as it would have been in the second half or if we were up. But he had to make a decision, and his decision was, my team is playing so well, the momentum is our way, we are not going for it. We were going to kick the field goal. And I'm cool with that, because if you go into overtime, you feel your team is ready to go. Now, if you feel your team was scratching and clawing, even if it wasn't a 2-point conversion, what are you going to do? You're going to go for the 2 because you're like, man, my team's not going to hold up in those extra periods or extra.
Right. So it's, again, assessing your people,
exactly,
your situation, the elements, all of that. And that's where Martz comes in there. So I do think both sides have an argument. I don't think you should be Martz's thing is, don't be just Mr. Computer, right? Plug everything into the computer and all your decisions are made for you based on what the chart says or what the computer spits back on you. You're messing up if you're doing it that way. If you're not considering at all the weather, the elements, your people, who is taking this snap for me? Is this guy, do I believe in this guy? Like, all of those things have to be running through a coach's mind. And sometimes it's right to kick the field goal.
615-737-1025. Let me paint the picture for you. The Seahawks, they're on the 1-yard line against the Patriots. It's 4th and goal. Do they go for it?
I think,
keep in mind what happened the last time.
Right. And do they pass it? that's a prop bet that's out there.
Oh,
right?
We're going to talk about that at some point.
Man, I think if it's the Super Bowl and it depends on what the score is, I think in those situations, it's almost like I would rather play for the tie than to put my team in a situation where we work this hard to get to this point. And then, because there's always going to be this, if you take the points and it's that close, no one ever looks back and say, we should have went for it. But if you miss it and you don't get the points, it's like, man, we should have kicked the field goal.
Well, Mike Martz talks about the mentality of a sideline. If you have a long drive and it stalls after you've had the ball 8-10 minutes,
it's a morality killer,
and
man.
you get nothing because you went for it and didn't get it. He talks about how that weighs on you. That's a fair point, right? You got to get something, so you get 3. Maybe you're not satisfied, but that's better than the frustration of walking back with nothing. Where the analytics would say, "Oh, you drove it all the way down there. That's all right. You didn't get it. You took your shot to get 7. Now, if you just play some defense, they'll punt it back to you. You'll have good field position, and you'll end up scoring more points if you go for it every time, and you stay consistent. You will end up with more points in the long term. That's the catch-22.
615-737-1025. All right. Let's focus on Super Bowl 60, Patriots versus Seahawks. And as I mentioned with Chad Withrow, there's something happening that's making me feel a little nauseous. And we'll discuss that next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Super Bowl 60, Patriots versus Seahawks on Sunday. Last I checked, Seahawks favored by 4.5. Indeed, that is the case. Kickoff is at 5:30 on NBC. And I haven't been paying too much attention to all of the talk emanating from the Bay Area about this Super Bowl matchup. I agree with Chad Withrow, who's out there right now. Not a lot of buzz about this game. We often say that, I think, and then we watch the game and we enjoy it because we're Americans and we love the Super Bowl. But there is one thing that I have noticed as I've been reading about the Super Bowl in the lead up to the game. The Mike Vrabel Love Fest is becoming a little nauseating. There have been so many flowery feature stories and columns written about Mike Vrabel. For example, the great Sally Jenkins, who now writes for The Atlantic, wrote a column with the headline, Mike Vrabel is redefining NFL coaching. Alan Siegel, another fantastic writer, for The Ringer, with the headline, quote, he's a dude. He's just a guy, man. The oral history of Mike Vrabel, the player turned coach who's dragged the New England Patriots from the depths of the AFC East back to the Super Bowl. Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated with the headline, Mike Vrabel's face-tingling energy drink has become part of Patriots culture. Apparently, he drinks 3 C4 energy drinks.
No wonder he's bending over all the time on the sidelines. Damn, stomach hurts.
As he said, he's C12 because he drinks 3 C4s. But Chad said it, and I would tend to agree, that Mike Vrabel appears to be the celebrity of Super Bowl 60. And I know it's hard for Titans fans because of what happened here, but I'm not saying that Mike Vrabel doesn't deserve all of this attention, but it's just like, can we turn it down just a notch, please?
You know what I think about first is when his Titans teams started to struggle, and there was starting to build some criticism around him here, just naturally, because the team they couldn't win a game for a while. I mean, I forget what the last season or two, but if you look at the skid at the end of the one season,
he went 6-18.
Yeah,
his final like 24 games.
So the heat started to turn up, but I always thought nationally he had unshakable credibility. Like nobody from afar would say, "Well, they got Mike Vrabel. He's not doing a very good job." He's always had that, right? So now you have the Love Fest. So I think he has a credibility. Maybe because it's all the accolades as a player and all that stuff. Maybe it's part of his persona. But from afar, I always felt like he gets benefit of the doubt way more than a lot of coaches.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. And listen, because of what he did here in Nashville, some of it was warranted, but it was almost like it was right off the bat. Like they just, for some reason, they just had this love fest or fell in love with Mike Vrabel. And like you said, Willie, he comes with the accolades, the winning of the Super Bowls and everything else. I believe he was a first or second round pick in NFL draft. But what is interesting about sort of this Mike Vrabel love fest, and I do think part of it is because of he's attached to the New England dynasty from a national standpoint. And really outside of football, meaning, players. But what I've understood reading that article, he would have been a coach that I would have enjoyed playing for. You may not always agree with his prickliness or whatnot, but he was a guy that I think I would have enjoyed playing for. Just hearing some of the stories, Henderson, the running back, he talked about, his experience and, with Mike Vrabel in certain situations where he was prone to fumbling the ball. He ended up fumbling one game. And I've seen coaches do this before, where he went into the film room and Travion just knew that Vrabel was going to get on him and he was going to single him out. And what Vrabel did was the total opposite, because Vrabel understands, and they talked about it in the article, Vrabel understands it's the team. It's not just one person. And he talked about the guys around him. You missed your block. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You know, this guy got inside you. He was able to hit the running back. You know, yeah, the running back has this responsibility, but if these other 3 or 4 things doesn't happen, the likelihood of our running back getting hit without seeing it and fumbling the ball, the odds go down. And I think that resonates with everybody in that locker room. Even though he's pointing out everything that we're doing, he's shielding. He's being a good coach, and he's shielding the guy. He already know that guy, because they thought Vrabel understand that guy already knows how bad he did and what he did and the consequences that he didn't want to pile on. So when you have a coach like that, players are watching, and players are going to run through a wall for you if they see that. And that is what players have seen from Vrabel, whether it was here or now in New England.
To be fair and to be clear, this is not meant to be sour grapes.
No.
Can't believe the Titans fired Mike Vrabel. What a terrible decision.
Well, that they need to let go.
I understand. This isn't sour grapes, but as I am consuming Super Bowl coverage, every third story is, look how great Mike Vrabel is. Here's another one from Adam Kilgore of the Washington Post, which did not have a great week. Patriots coach Mike Vrabel can take a hit. His players love him for it. The former linebacker has earned his players' respect through badass practice habits that include joining drills and letting players hit him. It's just stories like, and all of the stories are
which
well
is nothing new.
No.
Right? But when you make the Super Bowl, these things come up.
And the stories are all great. Don't get me wrong. But if it will make some of you feel better, here was a fun moment from the NFL honors ceremony. Mike Vrabel wins Coach of the Year. Tiffany Haddish, the comedian, announced the award. And listen how she announced Mike Vrabel.
The 2025 AP Coach of the Year is Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is busy preparing for the Super Bowl, but he sent this message, y'all.
We're not going to listen to the message.
Mike
Verbal?
Mike Vrabel.
Oh, I get it.
Mike
Verbal.
It does kind of look like that when you look at it. Right.
Or Vrabel, whichever one.
Just a laugh. Just a laugh.
I mean, maybe they could have told her.
Exactly. They could have. Hey, his name is Vrabel.
Just so you know.
Yeah. Not verbal.
Verbal.
Mike Verbal.
Mike, you there?
Mike Gerbil. No, it wasn't as bad as that, but I did laugh when I heard that earlier today. So for you Titans fans out there who are feeling sad, there is something to make you feel better. One texter says, Vrabel in the Super Bowl is no problem at all for a Titans fan. It actually gives us someone to root for, and they really couldn't be a better story. That's actually Brent from Gallatin. I do wonder if Titans fans will be predominantly rooting for Mike Vrabel.
That's a good question. I would like to know myself.
615-737-1025. I am wondering how the Patriots win this game, because most, if not all, of the predictions I have seen are the Seahawks are going to win. The Seahawks are the favorites, favored by 4.5. I am wondering about how do the Patriots pull off the upset, because if they do, Mike Vrabel, of course, is going to be a part of that. My first thought is, well, does Sam Darnold finally turn back into a pumpkin? But I feel like we've been asking ourselves that for the past few weeks. And he has shown that he is indeed not a pumpkin, or at least for now. Outside of that, Willie and Derek, how do you think the Patriots win this game? Because I think it would come as a surprise to a lot of people if they win this game.
Yeah, I think it would. New England's Seattle's a 4.5 point favorite now.
Yes.
So yeah, I think, pretty much people are looking at it as this is the Seattle Seahawks game to lose. But I think this is where Vrabel, as he showed here when he was in Nashville, and he showed in New England now throughout the playoffs, he's going to lean on the running game. He's going to lean on mucking the game up. He's going to lean on making this game a physical game. And if he can run the ball, 30 times a game, 30 times this game, I think he will do it. If you look at Drake May's numbers, they have drastically diminished in the playoffs. He's not even completing over 60% of his passes in the playoffs. But, you can contribute that to the snow, possibly the snow in Denver. And he's played some really good defenses. And what Vrabel has done is sort of like, what he was accustomed to in New England, where, we're going to beat you the way the game allows us to beat you, whether it be running a football or passing the football or playing great defense. We're going to beat you in those manners. We would like to beat you in all three, but we know if we muck this game up, make it physical, the chances of us winning goes up tremendously. Now, the bad part about that is that you're playing another physical team that don't mind playing that same way. But yes. I think he's going to take a lot off of Drake May's plate and try to run the football and play really good defense.
I think that is where it starts. Running the ball for the Patriots is going to be a big, big thing that they need.
One texter says, absolutely, as a Titans fan, I always loved Vrabel and his demeanor. I hated when he was let go. I will be upset if the Patriots lose. Let's go, Mike Vrabel.
I think there were a lot of Titans fans in the moment when he got fired that weren't outraged, right? That wasn't the theme of the show or the theme of the coverage. Complete outrage, right?
No. At least now I don't remember.
And so, thinking about it now, and all of the accolades he's getting, you would think that there was more outrage at the time. There really wasn't. It was mixed, right? There were some people that just thought it was time for a change, etc. I always thought he was a very good coach, and they could have had the ride out. They could have just kept going. My theory is he would have gotten fired eventually because the roster was deteriorating. It was out of his control. Mm-hmm. He might have won a few more games, but I think they still inevitably would have changed for him. So this worked out great for Mike Vrabel.
Gavin from West Tennessee says, pulling for Vrabel and the Patriots, pulling for the underdog. Vrabel was a good coach, and that's who I would like to see win it all. One texter says, Adam doesn't like Mike Vrabel. We get that already. When have I ever suggested that I don't like Mike Vrabel? Anyway, I gave up my season tickets and PSL when Amy fired Vrabel. It was obvious he was a great coach, but way down and frustrated by Amy, Carthon, and the whole management team. It was like the A.J. Brown trade, but much worse. Please read with snarky derision if you read this. To be honest with you, I don't know when I've ever given off the vibe that I don't like Mike Vrabel. As I said earlier, I do think the love fest is a bit nauseating just because it's the main storyline of this Super Bowl. Outside of Sam Darnold, he's the ultimate nobody believed in me guy, and the Patriots being back in the limelight, all of that stuff. But Mike Vrabel is the main character of Super Bowl 60. And I'm just saying, tone it down just a little bit. Let's go to George on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. George, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call, guys. Yeah, I think I'm the normal Titans fan. I love the Titans. I love Mike Vrabel. I love the way he coaches football. I think the hard-nosed toughness that he brings to a team, I think players love to play for him. And I absolutely will be pulling for the Patriots, even though in years past I hated the Patriots. But I think it would be a great message to ownership of the Titans if Mike Vrabel wins this game.
Thank you, George. Matt on our text line says, huge Titans fan here. I hope Mike Vrabel loses by 100. 6-18 gets you fired.
See, this is the difference, I think, between the college fan base and, NFL fan base. So let's just say college fan base in the SEC. Is that like if a coach goes somewhere that has coached your team, say Coach Saban is coaching Alabama and he goes to LSU, you think Alabama people are going to be cheering for Coach Saban? No. No, I'm not cheering for him. He was a great coach for us.
Right.
But I'm not cheering for him anymore. or if he goes to LSU, which he was at LSU, but before going to Alabama, or if he goes to Ole Miss or Tennessee. No, they're not doing that. But it's strange how professional sports fans, not all of them, but some of them, they would still root for that coach, even if he's on your hated team because you liked him and he may have coached your team and you were mad at, at management because they fired him. I don't understand that logic. I really don't.
There was
especially if you're a diehard.
Remember years ago when Rick Pitino was coaching Kentucky, he left to go coach the Celtics. And then he came back and he was coaching Louisville. Mm-hmm. And then when they went to Rupp Arena, those Kentucky fans were not rooting for Louisville. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Remember John Calipari going back to Kentucky for the first time as coach of Arkansas. Let's go to Julio on our phone line. Julio, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hi, huge Titans fan, obviously living here in Nashville. I cannot believe people are rooting for the Patriots. I would never. It doesn't matter if the Titans himself, if T-Rack was coaching the Patriots, I would never root for the Patriots to win another Super Bowl. I don't care that Mike Vrabel's coaching up there. He was horrible at the end here, hiring his friend, trying to run the show behind Rand Carthon's back. All of it, awful. I will never root for the Patriots to win another Super Bowl. I can't believe Titans fans are rooting for that absolutely not. Seahawks by 100,000.
Thank you for the call. Julio James says, if you're pulling for the Patriots because of Vrabel, then you are the same type of person who was a Colts fan from Tennessee because of Peyton Manning.
That did used to be a big thing. Oh, man. That was a sensitive subject for a while in the early years, man.
Oh, man.
That's why it was so great that you guys played him so early in his career in the playoffs, because that kind of threw down the gauntlet. Because I think that was kind of a fun little thing for people to do until that game. Then it was like, oh, no. You are on this side or that side. None of this wishy-washy. Oh, yeah, I like the Titans, but, I love Peyton Manning. I have my Peyton Manning Colts jersey. Oh, yeah.
615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Super Bowl 60. A mix of Titans fans polling for and against Mike Vrabel and the Patriots. Which side are you on? 615-737-1025. We will continue the discussion. Coming up next, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
with their looping, stunting stack-over sets that terrorized center Mick Tingelhoff and completely eliminated the Viking running game. Forced to pass, Tarkington was like a darting deer among a pack of howling wolves. When he could get a pass over the on-rushing lineman, the results, more often than not, were disastrous. In this Super Bowl game, the mantle of greatness vividly passed from Minnesota's Purple Gang to Pittsburgh's Steel Curtain defense as a quiet quartet watched helplessly from the sidelines.
D-Mace, Fingan, and Donick, 102.5, The Game.
God, I love
the poetry, the poetry, the passion.
Couldn't you see it? Didn't they paint a picture for you? Didn't they paint a picture for you when he was talking about the quarterback?
Of howling wolves.
He was like, and it usually resulted in disaster. See, you ain't grow up with that.
You can't beat that. You just can't beat that.
Oh man, I remember. Don't you remember watching? What was it? Was it Sunday morning? Was it Sunday morning? They would show, no, the next following week, Saturday, they would show like the replays of the game. Like this, they would do the replays,
the highlight films.
The highlight films. It wasn't on a Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, a lot of times NFL Network will start just rolling them one.
No, I'm talking about
another,
back in the day
when
this was out. That was usually Saturday morning, wasn't it?
Sure, yeah, or even the morning of the game.
Morning of the game.
I just remember sitting by the.
You had to watch that.
Is it coming on? Are they going to do the next one? Like you could binge watch them.
Oh man.
So far, Julio, who called in and has sent in a text to add more to his call, Julio is the only person who is siding against Mike Vrabel in the Super Bowl. Julio said, Titans fans are delusional about Mike Vrabel, as if he was going to be here for decades if he wasn't fired. He was always in every timeline going to dump us for the Patriots. Don't we remember his Patriots news conference midseason? Rooting for Seattle, and this coming from a Notre Dame alum rooting for a USC quarterback in Sam Darnold.
That is like kind of weird. Again, Titan fans. He went to New England, did this big spiel about New England. The owner of the team, I'm sure she didn't like it. And there were many other people that didn't like it. And y'all just forget what he did. Y'all just like forget it. Like, okay, he did it. So what? How can you forget something like that? How can you forget another guy going in his former team and saying the things that he said about his former team and then come back to work for you?
He did say it.
Fans, how do y'all forget about the ones that still root? How do y'all forget about that part?
The angle that was interesting too is like you have to root for the Patriots, and there are people, because the Patriots have won so much. Like, I don't want them to win again. Come on, they haven't paid the price for after being so good for so long. They're back up again. Like, that's a reason to root against them, right?
Yeah.
The Patriots.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so since the Patriots last won the Super Bowl in 2018, they've missed the playoffs 4 out of 6 years, if my math is right. Their records in that time, since winning the Super Bowl in 2018: 12-4, 7-9, 10-7, 8-9, 4-13, 4-13. This season, they were 14-3 in the regular season. So this is their first postseason appearance since 2021. So yeah, I think fans would like the Patriots to have suffered much longer than they kind of did after their most recent Super Bowl championship. One texter says the logic is that most of us liked Mike Vrabel as head coach, and he was roadblocked by bad ownership. It was not his fault. So the actual adults in here want to see Vrabel win because he is a great guy. We all know it. My team isn't in it, so why not root for a guy that I highly respect? Hashtag Team Vrabel.
Again, okay, I want to put on, because, and obviously I don't know all the behind the scenes things, but say if you own the company and your employee, your president, got invited to the competing company he worked at, and he went there in front of all those people and talked about how great it was working here, and there's no other place like this, so y'all better be happy, and then comes back to work as if nothing happened. Wouldn't you feel a certain way? That's the part I can't reconcile. I can't wrap my head around that. Like, you say Amy did him, he did Amy wrong. And there are many people that feel he did anything wrong. And listen, I ain't got a dog in this race whatsoever. I think Vrabel's a good coach. I just think their time was done. It was over with. He did some things. She did some things. Now let's move on.
I do remember that being a feeling I had. It's just a lot of coaches don't last past 6-7 years. That's a pretty high, on average, run. And the window was clearly closing for that group of players. He would have had to make it through a couple of down years at least before they could rise back up. And that kind of has you appreciating Jeff Fisher for how long he lasted in this market, because he had to go through a dip for a couple of years, and they came back up, and he had a couple more really good seasons after your group.
Yeah.
Because he had to endure when they cut all you guys, and they worked it all the way back down. They had to move on from Stephen Garrett. They completely had to start over, and there were a couple of lean years there.
Josh says, as a Falcons fan, F the Patriots and their whole fan base. I wonder what has Josh all up in them. All up in his feelings.
Maybe that 25-point comeback.
Yes, that's
something to do
that's
with
what
it.
I was winking at. One texter says Vrabel was cool here too before he started losing and became a super a-hole. Then went to New England and started talking blank about the Titans. What were we supposed to do? I think we forgot about the Todd Downing era.
But people don't blame, and this is the sort of the, and this is why I think, when you talked about for whatever reason Vrabel gets this love from the outside, it was like they absolved him of anything that went wrong here in Nashville. Anything, the development of players, they blamed that on somebody else. The record end up, the decline, they blame that on somebody else, but they never actually put any blame on Mike Vrabel.
I think he got criticized some at the time, but the further you get removed, I agree with you 100%. It's like the less he did wrong. Like,
exactly.
Wait a minute, they fired this guy? I can't believe it.
It's like, man,
nothing was going wrong.
Didn't y'all see that roster? Didn't y'all see those players he didn't develop? That coaching staff had a hard time at developing? You don't see them because they're no longer on his team. That's why.
A couple of texters. We don't forget about Vrabel going to New England and speaking. We've all probably been around toxic bosses, and who wouldn't consider saying something to express unhappiness? Dislike and blaming Amy goes hand in hand with wanting to see Vrabel win the Super Bowl. Another texter says, if company was garbage and my company treated him like garbage, it wouldn't bother me a bit. I'd go work for the other company. This guy got shafted, man. No way was he trash. And now he's in the Super Bowl all of a sudden. Ownership was trash and still is. Let's just pray it's getting better.
Because I hate ownership more, I'm going to root for you. That don't make no damn sense in the world. It really doesn't. Neither. You dislike your franchise, and that's bad in itself that you can text that and say that, but still say I'm a Titan fan. But you are absolving Vrabel for the things that occurred under his watch, meaning they didn't develop this team. That is why they are in the situation that they're in right now. They didn't develop the draft. Name me the draft picks that are still on this team. It's by one or two of them that are on the team from the Vrabel era of drafting.
Yeah, basically none.
And none. So when you start to talk, I understand you being upset with Amy because it's sort of like a knee-jerk reaction with John and more so with John than I think with Vrabel. But Vrabel deserves some of the blame too, people. It's like the world is just like that. It's like, if I like you, I don't care what you do. I just hate that person more. Instead of just calling it for what it was. He had his part in the demise of this team, and Amy had her part. Now, she's going to take a bigger of the low because she's the owner. But let's not absolve that coaching staff for the lack of development of this team. We wouldn't be in this situation had they developed talent. They didn't. And nobody wants to really say that. It's like they want to absolve him. And like you said, the further and further you get away from it, the more of a sort of legend Vrabel becomes. Like he won a Super Bowl. He didn't even go to a Super Bowl. Here, at least.
I don't recall precisely how I felt when the news broke that the Titans fired Mike Vrabel. I think my initial reaction was, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There were diminishing returns. Again, he lost 18 of his final 24 games as Titans head coach. Now, do I place all of that on him? No, of course not. But he wears that record. And from afar, it seemed like it was time for everybody to move on. Now, the Titans certainly haven't helped themselves by the decisions they've made since firing Mike Vrabel, including hiring his predecessor, who's already gone, in Brian Callahan. So the Titans certainly have stepped in it multiple times since firing Mike Vrabel. But I would venture to guess that most of you at the time thought it was reasonable for the Titans to fire Mike Vrabel. Maybe you didn't agree with the decision, but you could see it. Like, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. Again, I am trying to think back a few years in the past, but I think the general consensus at the time was it had run its course. But to your point, Derek, everything that's happened since the Titans fired Mike Vrabel, they've just been stepping in it again and again and again. And when you contrast that with what Mike Vrabel has done in 1 year in New England, it makes the Titans look even worse than many people already consider them to be.
I thought the shocking part of his tenure was when they were 7-3, and then the Downing thing happened and the total collapse, even though they were decimated by injuries, legitimately. They were already thinner and they just hit a wall. I thought they mismanaged Ryan Tannehill's ankle. I thought they should have given him a little longer time to heal before they tried to push him back in there. That should not have happened. They should have found a way to hang on and make the playoffs that year. The following year, I didn't think he coached bad. I didn't think they were that good. I think the time just expired on a lot of those core players that they had. And so I remember thinking at the time, this guy's an asset. He's a good coach. The era is ending. And so what do you do? Remember something that came up back then that doesn't get discussed now anymore, because they actually did address it at the press conference, but trading Mike Vrabel, right? There was a sense that you could trade Mike Vrabel to somebody, maybe even the Patriots, and get something for him, and they elected not to do that. And because it would have slowed down the process of bringing in a new coach, and they just wanted to move on.
I just think he had a hard time, and maybe he's learned from that, the situation here, because he came here, and this team had some really good veterans, and they were a team that they had just come off a playoff appearance. So this team was ready to go, and he hopped in the driver's seat and he kept it going. He didn't build the team like from the ground up. He didn't build this team. And I say that because the draft picks that they had in those 4 or 5 years, a lot of those guys did not pan out. A lot of them were gone before they even got started, really, with their career. I don't think no one but Jeff, Byard and Jeff, I think. Because did he draft Henry? That was his first year drafting Henry. That first year.
John Robinson's first draft was when they traded the top pick, the number 1 overall, and Henry was part of the package in the big.
So he wasn't even a head coach when they drafted. He came the year after when they drafted Henry, right?
Right.
So again, this team was ready. They had their players in place. Your draft class with you as a head coach didn't pan out. And then the roster and the team start to, slowly go downhill. And like Willie said, you had injuries to your top tier guys, but you didn't develop the guys behind them well enough that they couldn't step in and keep the boat afloat. Now you go to New England, where the quarterbacks are already set. You got some defensive players. You did add some, but you had a team that was being put together. But most importantly, they had their quarterback. Now, you may be able to sustain this, but I think the true test is what happens in year 2 and 3. Because now these guys you drafted in year 1, you got to develop those guys.
One texter says, it sounds like y'all are just making a lot of excuses for the Titans being a bad organization making bad decisions. One texter says the 6-18 is a cherry-picked stat. 7 of those losses directly were influenced by injury and Robinson's midseason firing.
God, stop it, people. Just stop. A loss is a loss.
I don't think I made any excuses.
I don't think
it happens
that's
across
not
the
completely
board.
out of left field. That's not out of left field.
No, but it happens. It's not like people are mad. Talking about, the coaches or, upper management. Me as a player, if you fire the GM, yeah, I may love him. He drafted me, but I got a job to do. It doesn't affect me in that way because I got to ultimately go out there because you know what they ask me to do every day, 5 days a week or 6 days a week, is to take whatever problem I have, put it in that suitcase and set it by the front door and pick it up when you leave. Because you have to be fully bought in to accomplish the goal you want to accomplish. Does it happen every time? No. So I'm not going to let people use that excuse of, oh, this was going on, that was going on. No, every team goes through their distraction. As a former athlete at that level, I'm telling you this every day, even the ones they don't talk about. They go through distractions. So I'm not going to allow that to be sort of this crutch that Bray was a damn good coach. Never said he wasn't. But let's not make it seem like that he was just God around here and he won every game. And she fired him for a reason. It was time for that marriage to be done with. And Vrabel's doing his thing. He's doing a great job. And hopefully Ms. Amy can get this team to where we are proud of it and it's winning game.
615-737-1025. We will wrap up the week by taking it to the bank. Super Bowl edition. That's coming up next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. It's time to take it to the bank with our friends at F&M Bank. Less worry, more living. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Visit one of their locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. In the interest of time, we are skipping last week's recap because we have a lot of Super Bowl 60 picks to make. And I think, guys, I've come up with a great mix here of game picks and off-the-wall picks. And I'm just going to put it out there right now. No, we will not be picking the Gatorade color this year after the controversy of last year.
Yeah, Willie,
I just would like, for the record, to put into evidence something that I showed you guys in our text chain, and I wish I had this last year because I would have won. That they looped in a prop bet of what color the Gatorade basket is going to be. They put lime, green, and yellow all in the same thing.
That case has been closed for a year.
I reopen the case.
That case cannot be reopened.
That case has been closed.
No, it's been closed. It's been a whole year.
Closed.
It's been a whole year.
I want my points back from last year.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you get 1 point back. But guess what? You still lost.
For those who missed it last year,
I feel better.
Willie is one of the few people on earth who looks at a lemon lime Gatorade, which is yellow, and calls it green.
Lemon lime. That just tells you green and yellow. It's in between.
Okay, well, we don't have time to relitigate this, and I am not.
It's green Gatorade.
I am not doing a prop bet on the Gatorade
I
color.
had green last year. Dang it, and I want my point.
Okay, well, we are.
Guess what? You got your point, and you lost.
We're skipping past it. We're moving on.
Are we going to have it this year, the Gatorade basket?
No, we are not, because of this exact reason.
Right here.
We are moving on. All right. Simple yes or no question. Will the Seattle Seahawks attempt a pass from the Patriots 1 yard line? Remember what happened last time these two teams met in the Super Bowl.
Malcolm Butler.
Will the Seahawks attempt a pass from the Patriots 1 yard line? Yes or no, Derek Mason?
Wow, from the one. Yes, I think they will.
Okay.
I think they will.
They have not learned their lesson.
No, it's not. It may not be in crunch time, but it may be some point during the game where they.
Okay, but
it can be at any point in the game.
Exactly. Right. So I think yes.
I'm just going to make one more point about the Gatorade.
No more. No more.
Can you turn his mic off?
No more. I'm done. No. Yes or no? Yes or no? We're done with this. We're done.
I just want the record to
I'm
show
triggered again.
I was not alone in my quest because of that.
You were mostly alone.
It wasn't just me.
You were mostly alone.
Yeah, you and your 5 friends.
I got it off my chest. Okay.
Even your daughter wasn't on your side.
Answer the question, brother. That is true.
I'm going to say no, just because I think there's a chance they don't have any plays from the 1 yard line. And if they do, maybe they'll run it. So I'm just going to say no.
I will also say no. David?
I'm going to join D-Mace. I think there's going to be a jump pass.
Okay. So we're split on that. All right. Pick number 2. Drake May has been sacked 15 times in 3 playoff games. That's a nice, even average of 5 sacks taken per game. Over under 3.5 sacks for Drake May in the Super Bowl. Derek?
Over.
Willie?
3.5. I'm going to say under.
I will say over. David?
I'm going to go in the under.
All right. 3.5 sacks for Drake May. Over, under. Question number 3. Over, under 119.5 seconds for the length of the national anthem.
Ooh.
Say it again.
Over, under 119.5 seconds.
Okay.
For the length of the national anthem. Charlie Puth will be performing the national anthem. Sports Illustrated says that in the past 2 Super Bowls, the under has hit. But in the 3 Super Bowls preceding those, the over hit. So 3 of the past 5 have gone over, but the past 2 have gone under. Under 119.5 seconds. So basically 2 minutes.
So that's the average.
2 minutes.
Oh, man. Gosh, I don't even know who's singing in that.
Charlie Puth.
I don't even know who
never seen him do the anthem.
I don't know who he is. I never heard him sing.
It's kind of a pop guy, he's a little younger than
that
us.
doesn't mean he's not popular. It doesn't mean he's not popular.
Right.
I don't know about him. I would tend to say, because that has to be the average. Over.
Willie?
I'll go under.
I will also go the under.
I am with you guys. Charlie Puth, if this was a girl singing the national anthem, she would hit those high notes. I can see that. But Charlie Puth, I don't see him hitting that high note.
Okay.
Okay. Does a little instrumental count too? Or are you just counting
from the moment he starts singing
to the finish?
To the moment he stops singing? Will it be 2 minutes, basically?
The moment he starts singing or the moment the music start playing?
The performance of the national anthem.
Because it
could be a little
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
it's some music playing first. Exactly.
That's a good question. I think it's from the moment the first note hits
of his voice.
No, I think of the musical
interlude.
All
right. So I'm going to 2. I'm going to 2.
I'm going to say under.
Wait, what did I say? Under?
You said under.
You said under.
Right. And David said under as well.
What if he does the Carl Lewis, where he kind of goes,
oh. I don't see him doing that. I don't see Charlie Puth doing that.
One texter says lime juice isn't green, closer to yellow. What? One texter says lime juice isn't green, it's closer to yellow.
I'm so triggered right now of this conversation again. This is just pretty bad memories.
Lime is green. Man. Lemon lime. There's green in there.
Stop it.
Dang it.
All right.
Do we need to play the Carl Lewis national anthem just to see how long that took?
I don't know if we have time.
Remember, he started over, didn't he?
He did. And he said, I'm going to make up for it. And then he did not. Charlie Steiner on South Sports Center, he completely lost it.
Oh, man. I'm sorry, people.
All right.
I'm sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
That's okay. Let's pick the game itself. Patriots, Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 4.5. Who covers? Derek?
Oh, man. I'm taking the Seahawks.
Willie?
The Seahawks.
I'll take the Patriots and the points.
I will take the Seahawks to cover. David?
I have a bad feeling the Patriots are going to win this one. We're doubting them too much. I'm like, don't let it happen. I don't want it to happen, but I think the Patriots will do it.
Okay. Along those lines, who will be the Super Bowl MVP? Derek?
Man. Go to Willie.
Willie?
Go to Willie. Because I'm thinking about this.
We took the Patriots and the points. I am going to say Drake May.
I will take Kenneth Walker.
That's who I was going to say.
Super Bowl MVP. I mean, you can if you want to.
Give me Kenneth Walker because he's a Spartan. So
okay, I will take Kenneth Walker. David?
Cardi B. no, Stephon Diggs.
There was a prop bet of whether Cardi B would be wearing a Stephon Diggs jersey at the game. There's also a bet if Stephon Diggs will propose to Cardi B during or after the Super Bowl.
With the odds accordingly.
Yes. All right. Here's the special. We've got a bonus. Predict the score and the winner. And you have to get it exactly right. So no Price is Right rules. Predict the score and the winner. If you nail it, you receive 10 bonus points. Derek?
Gosh. Okay. I'm picking Seattle to cover. Give me Patriots 17, Seahawks 24.
24-17 Seahawks. Willie?
23-20 Patriots.
I will go 20-13 Seahawks.
Low scoring.
David?
24-20.
Who wins?
Go Pats.
All right.
Okay. I like that.
A nice mix.
Yeah, a nice mix.
A nice mix.
Did we get to pick anything else?
Do we have time? We have time for one more. Let's do one more.
I mean, I'm going just with I'm picking. I was going to pick Carolina.
Okay.
But I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But I'm picking Vandy to cover this weekend. I think it's like 14 points. Against Alabama. Who they play? No, Oklahoma.
Okay.
I was thinking one of the Red.
If we're gonna do one non-Super Bowl one,
yes, so I'm picking Vandy to cover.
I'm hedging my bets here. Give me Carolina to cover against Duke.
Oh.
Duke is favored by 5.5.
Debbie Downer.
Duke is favored. I'm not saying that Carolina will win. Duke is favored by 5.5. I think it's going to be closer than that.
I'm gonna go with the prop that's fun. They will show at least one clip of Mike Vrabel playing in the Super Bowl for the Patriots. They'll have a flashback of him either catching
That's
a
low
pass.
bar. That's
Low
a
bar.
Low bar. Low bar. Low bar.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one quickly that you can do in place of that. Which iconic San Francisco landmark do they show first? The Golden Gate Bridge or Alcatraz Island?
You can't choose this for me. I have to choose mine.
I
want the Vrabel. It was a prop bet. You can bet on that.
At least say two.
That's worth half a point.
Two plays.
2 clips of him as a player?
2 clips. Yeah, not one. They're going to show the one before the game starts.
Does it count if he does one before the game and one during the game?
As long as he gets 2.
I'll give you that. If it's one,
but then I don't want to watch the pregame show.
Well, you're gonna have to now.
You don't have to watch it, Willie, as long as they play it.
We know you're gonna watch it.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna go Blake's.
Well, how about him? They have to show him catching a pass. Is that good?
They have to show him catching the pass in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Derek does not like this, but we don't have time.
You know what? Sure, yeah, that's it. That's it.
We don't have time to argue about this. We gotta go. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy Super Bowl 60. We'll be back here at 3 p.m. on Monday to break it all down. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful weekend. I love you. The team love you. You hear that music? Don't forget about us, because we will not forget about you. We will be back Monday at 3 p.m. on 102.5 The Game. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Peace.